Everything we do is wrong. We're going and we don't belong. The future's too slow. We wanna have a crack now. No! Ladies, hold on to your purses. This includes all your nurses. Doesn't matter if you look karate. We're all together in the suicide pocket. A chance. Hustles are on the billion in advance. Master pussycats kill, kill. Master pussycats kill, kill. Do what you will, but will you know what you will? Do what you will, you just can't stand still. Master, 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 kill, kill. Master pussycats kill, kill. Master, 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 kill, kill.
It's time for the 12th annual April Ghouls Drive-In Monsterama. 2 nights of terror, a weekend of classic drive-in movies at the Riverside Drive-In. Do you want to party? It's party time as Return of the Living Dead kicks off the Friday night zombie marathon. It's brains, brains, and more brains when toxic gas starts to reanimate the nearby cemetery into a party of the living dead. Up next, be careful what you wish for with Bob Clark's retelling of the classic Monkey's Paw story. Death Dream, presented in a newly restored 4K print from Blue Underground. See it here first on the drive-in screen. Our third feature takes us on a visit to the quiet coastal town of Point Dune. But it's not the best time for vacation, as the moon turns red with the return of the Messiah of Evil. In order to live, they will take you one by one, and no one will hear you scream. Something terrifying has happened to the children. I bet you can't guess what's next when a busload of kids drives through a cloud of nuclear waste, turning them into atomic zombies. Let's just say, it takes more than a hug to make things better. The much talked about and anticipated Sci-Fi Saturday blasts off with killer clowns from outer space. It's a funhouse of terror when these outer-world clowns invade the small town of Crescent Cove for a night of big top terror. Our second feature is the John Carpenter classic, Escape from New York, featuring Kurt Russell in his legendary role as Snake Plissken. It's 1997. New York City is now a maximum security prison. Breaking out is impossible, but breaking in is insane. Our third feature of the night is Star Crash, Star Wars, Italian style. A galactic adventure beyond your wildest dreams, featuring an all-star cast. It's a space adventure like no other. Our final slot of the weekend is Roger Corman's homage to every vintage sci-fi film, Galaxy of Terror. Their rescue mission to the planet Morganthus turns a planet of horrors into a galaxy of terror. Admission is $15 per person per night. Children under 12 are free. Camping is $15 per person per night. Survivors get a complimentary breakfast in the morning. April 26th and 27th, April Ghouls Drive-In Monsterama at the Riverside Drive-In in Vandergrift, PA. See you there, if you dare.
Now, you can see what actually did happen to the girl in room 2A.
Forgive me. There is no forgiveness.
Girl in room 2A, A Prison in Hell.
Adulteress.
Featuring Ralph Belloni. Girl in room 2A, A Prison in Hell. Rated R.
Ralph Belloni.
Ralph Belloni.
I never miss a Ralph Belloni movie.
What was going on in this movie? I have so many questions about mirrors. I don't. Where do we even start?
Yeah, it was a big idea to get used to. That she could end up in this place in, I guess it was New Orleans. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm assuming. Um, and she's there with her husband. Her husband dies, and she has nowhere else to go. No one else to
yeah,
call. Nothing. Well, what was
yeah,
her problem? And that there was
yeah.
no one that she could let know that this was happening. I don't know. That alone had me thinking. I was like, is she just a bad person? Is that it?
She doesn't know anybody in Chicago. She doesn't know anyone in New Orleans. She doesn't know anybody. Every single person she meets is against her, except for a doctor who has only met her once and is obviously that doctor wants to get in, right? We know what's going on, right? That doc, nobody, if she was an unattractive woman, that doctor would be like, well, such a shame. I hope you enjoy the train. And when she called back from that abandoned train station, he'd be like, yeah, I'll get there as soon as I can. He's a doctor at a
And
fucking hospital. People are like depending on him to save his life. And she's like, calling him all the time.
can you explain to me why she was even in that abandoned train station, other than it was in the script? Okay, she's like finally on her way out of this place where these cursed things are happening to her, and she gets
Yeah.
off the train.
Yeah. Because some kid's on it that knows her name. He's like, "Hello, Marianne." She's
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
like
where's Telly Savalas up in the top of the plane?" It was like it was like the same Lisa and the Devil ending they were going for, but she said, "I've seen that movie. I'm getting off the train."
oh, we have to talk about the perfume too. Like, why
Yeah.
would she wear perfume to bed?
When her
Um,
husband has asthma,
yeah,
right? She's like, "Hey, I know you got asthma, but spritz, spritz. Oh, let's go to bed." He shouldn't. He should have been like John Travolta and lived in a bubble, because like
yeah.
the reason for this asthma was someone swept some dirt on him, and he was like, "Oh, oh, oh, oh."
She threw like an old towel at him because
Yeah,
she's mean. In her dream life, she's mean. She had a secret dream life. In her secret dream life, she was really mean, and she threw a towel at her husband, and he died. And then
yeah.
he died for real.
I think the perfume was in it because they're like, "Hey, we saw Strange Perfume of the Lady in Black, and we're gonna try to make a movie like that, but we don't know how to make one that people can understand." Yeah, I agree, Sean. It was voodoo dust. Anything in this movie that you don't understand is voodoo. I've been in this courtyard before. He's like, there's a lot of courtyards like this. And then instantly he realized, he's like, oh, wait, I said something. You know, when you're kind of like, did I say something shitty? And he's like, oh, but you're right. You're right. You know, I understand. I'm a
It's not that I
doctor and
don't
I have to,
believe you.
yeah, not that I don't believe you. How did that voodoo cult meet? Uh, why did they meet? My favorite people in this whole movie are William T. and the Magnolia Experience, a feather-clad singer. That song that they were singing at that party was just like Magnolia, Magnolia. What was that song?
It was a
Um,
vibe.
it was just like a loop of like an 8-bar loop, and it was like just some crazy stuff. Yeah, and then, like the necklace. I agree, Laura. Like no one learned anything from the Brady Bunch. If
It
if
was like
you
a
go
rave loop from 1994.
It really was. It should have had like doo, doo. It sounded like something that the Dust Brothers would have like dropped in on something, you know?
There was this drum sound that was in a lot of those club mixes at the time. It sounded like a car door being slammed in a parking
Yeah, it
garage,
really did. Yeah.
and it was on so many house tracks.
Yeah.
I loved all of
But
them.
that loop just went on for like 4 minutes. And then if you're at a party, if someone came to my house and they were standing by my pool and Cubby just jumped in the pool, I'd get in the fucking pool. I'd be like, well, I got to get
Yeah,
Cubby out of the pool, right? Everybody's like, oh, a dog jumped in the pool and it instantly died. What?
even if the dog was dead, you would still go in there and you would pull it out. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe you could like give it mouth to mouth or something.
I've been
I'd
to
try.
dog to like the pet thing at the big pet thing they always have every year down at the convention center, and they have dogs like that jumping like really far into a pool, and they just swim right back out. Did, does she have the power to kill dogs? And then when he's coming to save her, a dog comes running out of nowhere right in front of his car.
Yeah, that was a theme in this film. And again, we don't get any explanation for any of this at the end of the movie.
No,
It's
we
it's
don't
kind of
even get an explanation of what happened to her. Like we've had all this like slow burn, and then at the end, it's like What happened?
You know what, though? I kinda love that. I'm glad that
Yeah,
they left it ambiguous and you really didn't know whether she was possessed or not, or maybe she was just losing her grip. Who
yeah,
knows?
yeah. That party was like there's a bartender at that party that I wanna meet because the guy said when he asked for when the doctor asked for his drink, like, literally, he said his drink order, and he was handed his drink before he finished saying his order. That's a bartender. He was like, "Bourbon and soda," which is disgusting. He was like, "Bourbon and soda, boom, here it is." And then he's like and then she got some kinda weird mint julep voodoo drink.
Yeah, I don't get the bourbon and soda either.
It's a disgusting drink.
Why
And
would you
take I
water
drink
down
J&B.
bourbon with soda?
Maybe he's still on call. When does he work? Who does he save? What was that machine behind her in the hospital? It was just like a wire box on the wall, like a breaker box just sitting on the wall. Uh, the husband, again, a fragile man. I don't know. Mike, Kitty Wynn, I do believe provided her own outfits. This is no demonoid, but it could have been. I wish it
Aw.
was.
I wanna protect Kitty Wynn from the comments, but it really is well deserved. She was boring in this movie, and I don't know, maybe it was the way that the character was written because the character has to seem a little nutty anyway. But
Yeah.
I hated the way she wouldn't answer people. Like, people would ask her questions, and she wouldn't respond. And
No.
I was like, "I hate when people do that." I know a lot of people that do that, and it drives
Also,
me crazy.
like I'm not saying that every movie has to have sultriness in it, but like whenever they would cut to her like getting ready for bed, she would
Oh,
have
yeah.
like a turtleneck on, and it'd be like the Noel Black, the director, was like, Kitty, maybe just like let's sauce it up a little bit. And the next scene, she has like a tank top on. Like that's still not
She
you
was
know
too modest, yeah.
too modest. Her sometimes she looked very attractive though. Also, she was in the hospital and she had full eyeshadow on. 3 days in the hospital. He should have never. The
Yeah.
moral of this story is don't let her out of the hospital. She'll kill your friend's dog. She'll upset one of your friends for life. I love when she's like, "Well, she had perfume. She's against me."
She
Really?
that lady was so nice to take her into her what was her name?
Oh,
Elaine.
yeah,
Elaine had a nice little house, and
yeah.
Elaine said goodnight to her, and she didn't respond.
No,
I'm like, "You're right there. You can see Elaine, like, when she laid down in her
it would
bed,
have
like,
been
you could
funny
at
if
least."
Elaine's bedroom was like Helena Marcos, where we could see a light
Yeah.
of her and hear her going, and the next sleeping like Cubby.
It would have been a better movie.
Yeah, the music's awesome though. I mean, the music is really good. There's something in here. There's an attempt that it could be something, but like we've seen much better. Here's the other thing it needed. The bad guys needed to have an old Hollywood actor with them. Do you know what I mean? Like it needed like
A
somebody where you're like,
sentinel
oh
kinda thing?
yeah, Sentinel thing or Devil's Reign, like a Borgnine or something. We're like, oh, obviously this is the person we should be up against. Do you know what I mean? And instead, like, are we even on her side? Like you said, because she's just rude. Like if you asked me a question and I just went, you said good night, Sam, and I went,
Yeah. I'd be
yeah,
like, "What's wrong with you?"
yeah. Also, she just like the doctor put her in his house. He said, nobody comes to my house. Nobody even knows that I live here. You'll be safer. And she's like, I should probably leave and sneak around and go steal a voodoo doll. What is
Oh,
wrong with you?
well, that was her dream life, wasn't it? I
Who can
couldn't
even tell at this
I
point?
couldn't figure it out. The movie went back and forth so easily, which
Yeah.
I kinda liked that. I thought it
Yeah.
was, I like this movie, maybe a little more than it sounded like you did because
No, I liked it. I think I want to like it. I want to love it. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's not great, and
No.
at least I don't think it's great yet. I think this movie you know what would benefit this film is a nice Blu-ray release because it
Yeah.
looked beautiful. Like, the
Yeah.
photography looked like it would be beautiful if it had a good transfer because this is a shitty VHS rip.
Yeah.
Which, again, call me wrong, but it seems like this movie was only ever issued on home video, that it
Yeah.
didn't have a proper theatrical release. So, if somebody would fix it up, I'm sure that would elevate it a little bit because it's a beautifully shot movie, I think,
Yeah.
at least
I
from
mean,
what I
there's
can
some
tell.
really cool stuff with them going through the houses and the tours of New Orleans. Like that stuff's and the cemetery scenes and stuff. There's some cool stuff in it. It's just like it just feels like there was something missing that would like tighten up. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, even if there's like a different filter between the dream world and our world a little bit, where and then it started to kind of come together near the end. You know,
Yeah, something
Becca
I
has a
think.
theory. What was missing? A skeleton key. She said if that if that was in it.
It
She
wasn't
said that
even as a
also agrees that this is skeleton key very much.
Skeleton Key was right up front. Like you knew what happened in Skeleton Key. They weren't
Yeah,
fooling around. So
yeah,
the producers of Mirrors wanted to be a little more coy.
yeah. But the music's rad. I think we can all agree that it's got some good music,
Yeah,
and yeah, and if that
theme
band,
from Mirrors.
if William T and the Magnolia Experience want to put out an album, I would buy it. Like it was just one song, like a 30-minute. It would be like a 12-inch club mix of Magnolia. That song that they play at the party, I would love it.
Yeah. David mentioned that it reminded him of The Haunting of Julia, the soundtrack.
Yeah.
To me, it sounded like Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, the TV
Hmm.
movie.
Yeah.
The music was a little similar, that piano riff, but they
Yeah.
kept their theme from Mirrors. I love it. I
Love
want a
theme from Mirrors.
12-inch remix of the theme of Mirrors from 1974, uh, produced by Giorgio Moroder.
Oh, imagine
Lalo
mirror,
Schifrin.
mirrors, and we'll just say it over the title. Originally called Mary Ann, by the way, that was the original title. I think Mirrors is a better title. She did not like mirrors. We've learned that. Did not like mirrors. Also,
She had issues. I'm
when she
sorry.
put that sheet over that mirror when she was staying in that woman's house, she really laid that sheet perfectly.
Yeah.
It looked like really like she really did a number on it.
Could you imagine if you invited someone to stay at your house and they went and covered the mirror in their bedroom? What would you think?
I would be like, I would take Becca outside. I'm like, hey, you should smoke a cigarette. And then we'd go outside and I'm like, they just covered the mirrors in the
Why did they
bedroom. And he'd
do
be like,
that?
why did they do that? Well, they
It's
have a
fucking
problem with
weird.
mirrors. Ever
I wouldn't
since
want
ever since she threw a magic blanket on her husband and he died in a dream and then died in real life, she's had trouble with mirrors.
I keep thinking about that. I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to stay the night under the same roof if somebody acted like that. And they're in
No,
your house. I don't know. I think people in this movie were way too nice to her.
they were all so nice. That doctor, I don't know a nice way to say this, but that doctor really thought that he thought that was going to be the best he ever had because he put up with a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. Like he's been friends with that woman that owned that apartment for a long time. They're not going to be friends anymore. He's like, you remember when you had that
Oh,
crazy woman come to my house that covered all the mirrors up and then just kept
yeah.
screaming all night and then wouldn't answer me?
Well, she might still be his friend, but she might be like, look, I'm not, don't bring
Yeah.
anyone else to my house.
Don't bring any of that strange that you're getting into my house, you know?
I'd be pissed,
Yeah.
honestly. Like I wouldn't want him to bring anyone or even come to my house. Like
No.
I'll meet you in public or I'll come to your place, maybe.
Yeah, but you know what? He's like, no one ever comes to my place. She's like, you've never invited me to your weird little place either. And he goes, yeah, well, I have one mirror. It's in the bathroom and no pillows. And she covered the mirror when she came to my house too. So she's nuts. And now she has this little crooked smile every time I see her, and I don't know why.
I'm smiling crooked and I don't know why.
That's her face at the end. She's like, and you know, they were like right off camera. He's like, all right, now give me a little smile, a little more. She did it.
This was
Yeah, Ray
before the ending
Bradbury
of
was the creative consultant, Nora. And we were
yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, I guess it's that Ray Bradbury. Here was his consultation. Doesn't make any sense. And he's like, great, thanks, Ray, for watching it. And then we use your name on the credits. Maybe they would have put that a little further up. You know what I mean? Like maybe a little closer to the front. Like a Ray
This is
Bradbury,
this
inspired
is a
movie.
public announcement that if you ever come and stay in my house, don't ever hang something over the mirrors. Like, don't go rearranging our shit, Don't try it.
No, if you get to stay in my house, I have a guest room. I'm going to take the mirrors out so when this doesn't even become an issue. There's a
Oh,
big
you're
mirror
gonna
in my bedroom.
yeah,
Don't
you're
don't cover it.
well, now you've been sensitized to the idea
Yeah,
that some people don't want a mirror in their bedroom and they might throw a sheet over it.
yeah.
She pulled it off of a chair or something, didn't she?
It was the
Like,
longest blanket ever because the way she put it up, it was like a valance when she was done. It looked like gorgeous. She was like,
I'm not
"Look
sure
what I've
where
done
she
to the
pulled that.
room."
Yeah, I'm not sure where she pulled that from, but probably the lady that Elaine didn't want it pulled off and hung over the mirror.
Yeah.
She was
Nora, I
ballsy.
agree. Nora said that Marianne wore white the whole time into bed until at the end she was in black. She was like, "I'm an Italian Gothic heroine. Where is my candelabra?" Uh,
It went all like backlit nightgown there for half a
oh,
second.
it did, and I was like, and I was like, Bill, it's an Italian Gothic, and then, but there was nothing sheer about it. Like she had like three slips underneath it. She's like, I am not showing anything for this movie. Don't ask me to.
My new
Oh,
perfume, Mike, is butane. I put it
ooh,
everywhere.
yeah.
And I
Before
do it.
bed.
Yeah,
That's what
especially
I'm gonna do
before
before
bed.
bed now. I put it on before my husband goes. What about that pharmacist? Like, I like that he had some little acting business where he'd be like, it'd be funny if I broke a lot of stuff, and they're like, yeah, whatever, just do your little background stuff.
Oh my God, yeah. I felt their frustration.
Yeah, and then he was like, Chris said she had Wind Song. It stays on your mind. I thought it was Diamonds. They've always brought her luck.
It is Windsong that stays on your mind.
Yeah, it was Stetson, the brand that fits.
I can't seem to forget you.
Yeah, she had Mandem on, the Charles Bronson clone. Oh, the world. Um, but anyway, he his I like where he's like, it works like a charm. And also, did you know New Orleans has its own asthma? I've never heard of that before in my entire life. Like that we
Oh,
have our own here. We
absolutely.
call it New Orleans asthma.
Everything is unique in New Orleans.
Yeah.
They grow their own.
They should have had a whole like New Orleans like funeral thing, bring him the inhaler. Like and I bring him out an inhaler. A ragtime inhaler. Oh.
I don't know why she didn't get a "Don't Look Now" funeral. Like
Oh.
when the,
Oh.
they see Julie Christie on the
Yeah.
funeral raft.
Oh. Yeah. I love it so much.
That's when your husband dies while you're on vacation.
Oh. If your husband dies on vacation, there are airplanes, there are cars. It's not just the only
Yeah,
way into New Orleans is the train, and that train's going to stop at a place that locks on you. She couldn't operate a door to save her life. Like I like when he was like, he opened the door. He's like, everything's fine. He should have been like, it says pull, not push. And she's like, oh my God, it's killing me.
I lived for that moment. I was like, would someone please take care of this woman? Like, do
Oh my
something
God.
with her. Don't leave her on her own. She's a menace. Who
And
knows
then
what?
someone who she also is an egomaniac, Bill, because she's
Mhm.
like, they called for me and they're laughing at me. And he picks up the phone. It's like, and he's like, no, they didn't.
Yeah, he was like, what if he was on the train? What makes you think he was there because of you? He even confronted her with that, and she didn't like
Yeah,
it. She
no,
didn't like it one bit. She's a
no.
narcissist.
Yeah. And I agree with Nora. The husband's coffin is on that train. It's going to show up without her. And when they get there, you're be like, what do we do with this fucking, someone
I
was
don't
supposed
know.
to claim this coffin.
She had nobody else to even call. So who's going to claim her
His
husband's
family
body?
has to hate her. Yeah. Nobody misses. His family has to be like, God, she is such a bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like she's already dating this doctor pretty much.
Well, that's the other angle that they didn't really get into in this movie is because, okay, she said she didn't have anyone to call, but what about
Yeah.
him? He didn't
Yeah.
have any family that she had to call and say, I'm sorry, but your son is dead. Um, so this was all like, you know, a figment
Oh,
of her
because could you imagine
imagination.
that conversation? How did he die? Well, someone brushed voodoo dust on him, and then
Yeah.
I threw a magic blanket on his head in a dream.
Well, it's really dusty here, mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And, you know,
You're going to take the quarter with you wherever you go. That's what he told her. I'm like, yeah, I ain't ever going. I'm cool. I don't ever have to go there.
I know it doesn't sound like fun to me. I'm sure it's a blast.
That hotel is the worst hotel. Like, just not good. Like, why would you want to stay there? I there's like it's the whole thing. I had to stay at a hotel once in Boston for work because it was the only one that was open. They put me in, and like as I got off the plane, I had to like take an Uber there, and I'm in the Uber reading. I'm like, oh, this hotel's haunted. Cool. I wish I had never looked up the hotel. The whole time I was in there, I'm like, obviously this hotel's haunted, and I didn't see anything. So
I wonder why.
yeah, I don't know
Why
why
didn't you
I didn't.
see anything? Yeah.
Because I went to bed. I didn't like walk down the halls like an asshole like this girl. I was just like, well, I'm going to bed. And if I see anything, I see anything, but I'm going to bed.
You could have just gotten out of bed, walked out of the hotel, and walked
Yeah.
into the middle of somebody's fucking courtyard and
Oh yeah, I've
started.
been in this courtyard before.
She just walked in there. She didn't know who lived there.
No. There could have been like a family there. There could have been
Yeah.
anything. And she's just like, oh, I feel like I've been here before.
There
Good
could
thing
have
they
been
didn't
like,
have a dog because it would have died. She is like the dog gremlin.
yeah, what is wrong with her? And like, what if little kids had run out and been like, who are you in our courtyard?
Yeah.
Crazy
Oh,
lady.
yeah, I am from Chicago, and a couple days ago my husband died, and now I'm kind of sort of dating a doctor, but not really, and I won't let him kiss me. We just rub our foreheads against each other, and yeah, it's a little weird. Maybe I should call his mother and tell her he's dead, but no, it's okay. I'm fine.
He
We'll
had
get through it.
nobody. I bet
No,
his family would disagree.
yeah.
She she was manipulative. I think I'm finally seeing her for the first time, and I think she's a terrible person.
You think she's the villain of this movie?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you imagine the Yelp review that that hotel got from her? She's like a possessed Karen.
She would have left a negative review for sure.
Yeah.
She'd be like,
1 star at best.
first of all, they killed my husband, and second of
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
they pursued me even on the train, and they were everywhere, and they followed me. They were after me.
David said they met on the dating site, foreheads only. Yeah. They met at a combination orphan asthma support group. And she was like, I'm looking for asthma only. I'm looking for a man that has really brittle asthma. I'm an orphan. I would be great if he was an orphan too. Did I ever tell you the story about the orphan at my old work, by the way? There was
I
this,
don't think so.
there was this, you know how like when you start at a job, like they always have you get up in front of everybody and tell you like, tell us 3 things about yourself. And she
Yeah.
was like, well, I'm from New York City. I worked in the fashion industry before and I'm an orphan. And she was like 35. It's like you're not an orphan anymore. Like you're 35. And she's like, I am. And I just remember hearing it and I started giggling to myself because I'm a horrible person. Right. And I was like, why did she tell us? This is the only thing. Obviously, this is like 15 years later. The only thing I'm going to remember about you is that you're an orphan. Not that you've worked anywhere, not that you have any like skills. And it's like once you're like 18, you're in charge of yourself. You're an adult. You don't get to tell people you're an
Not if
orphan
you're in
anymore.
the orphanage from Blood and Lace. I think they
Oh
were
yeah,
like
okay, yeah.
29 years old.
Yeah. This feels like the clip you're going to use on the year-end show. It says Sam is a monster, making fun of orphans. But that's okay. Um, it was just weird. But anyway, yeah, they're both orphans. She met him and he was like, I have to carry this asthma breather. I have to carry an asthma breather sometimes too. I've never suddenly hit dust and was like, it's never happened. I They maybe should have gave him another disease. Like maybe he should have had a heart condition you know what I mean? Or like some kind of issue that we'd be like, oh yeah, like he'll die from that.
It
Asthma
had to have
doesn't
been
seem,
something seemingly innocuous. I mean,
yeah,
asthma's no joke, but you're right. That is kind of a random thing for him to die of, but it had to be
yeah,
something innocuous so that, he
yeah.
wouldn't have expected him to die from this.
No. Also, like I like when she rolled him over in bed and she was like playing with this chest and was like, you wouldn't instantly know that he's like ice cold and you know what I mean?
That was probably the scariest part of the whole movie
Yeah.
because you knew he was, at least I figured he was dead.
I could just brought my inhaler out just so I could.
Yeah. I mean, like you knew he was dead, and she slowly realized it, and what a
Yeah.
horrible thing that
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah. She said he pooped the bed and like, oh wait, he's dead.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
poor her.
oh
Maybe that's no excuse for what an awful person she was,
no.
both before and after the tragedy.
We've learned something from this movie. Everybody has. It's like if someone talks to you and you just answer them. If they say good night, you just say good night back to them. It's not a lot of effort, right? And instead, she's just like good night, and she was like,
She
"I'm
she
gonna."
totally ignored her.
If you stay in somebody's house, don't cover up the mirrors. Just don't touch anything. Don't make your own coffee in somebody's house. She's in that doctor's house, and she's like in the kitchen making coffee and shit. Don't even open the fridge. Come on, you're in someone's house. You're a guest. Like, come on.
It's not good guest behavior.
No.
And don't expect to stay there more than one night if you're going to act
No.
like that, because the next
If
day
you're
you're
gonna act
gone.
like a jerk and say, "Is this you have evil perfume?" You're not gonna get the same. My wife's got a whole
Evil
bunch of evil
perfume.
perfume. She's got a whole thing of perfume. She probably has the stuff from this movie. She probably has Emerald. Enough. We learned a lot.
Anyway, we should move on to our second feature,
Yes.
Girl in Room 2A.
Yes.
Take it away, Sam.
Oh, the girl in room 2A is obviously my favorite genre, the giallo. It is pretty fun, actually. It's kind of criminy. In Italy, it was originally called House of Fear. Um, La Casa del Puara. It's got a soundtrack by Bruno Pisano. It's a pretty sinister one. It's got a women's prison in it. And
Does it?
there's,
'Cause
yeah, for a little bit. Um, but it's a fun movie. I think it was on the Forgotten Jolly box set, the volume 2 one, along with Trauma and The Killer is one of 13. And everybody is a creep in this movie, pretty much. That's what I like about it. And it's kind of scuzzy, as you already saw by the trailer. It's pretty scuzzy. It also has that idea that there's some kind of cult in it. There's a killer
mhm.
that's kind of masked, and it's just kind of off, and I like that.
Yeah, it's I was curious about whether you would say it was a giallo or not, because I know
I would
people
say
get.
it is, yeah,
But I did see this once, and there is a women's prison in the very beginning. I think
yeah,
there's like half a scene or something that
yeah,
takes place. It's not because the tagline here is a prison in hell,
yeah.
and I don't know. After the movie, we can talk more about why it would warrant that kind of a warning on the or tagline
It,
on the poster.
it's directed by William Rose, who also did 50,000 BC, and the BC stands for Before Clothing in that movie. Rent a Girl
Of
and the
course,
Hookers. Yeah, and it's produced by Dick Randall, who wrote the French Sex Murders, whole bunch of other stuff, but and nothing that's unscrew un that is unseemly, nothing seemly or whatever the right word. Everything he did is very scuzzy, and we love him for it. And it is he also was an uncredited director on the movie. Sure, he jumped in and directed a few of the scenes with the ladies. It's filmed in Italy, but interestingly enough, most of the cars are not Italian; they're French and German. But it was filmed in Italy, so there's a few facts for you about this. Some VHS releases have a different beginning. Did you know that?
I did, but remind me what it was.
It has a woman getting tortured and to death, and that wasn't in the original cut of it.
I can't remember if the one I saw opened with that.
Yeah, yeah, and Dick Randall's also one of the many people that worked on Pieces. So if you like Pieces, this feels like it could fit in. It's not as wild as Pieces, but it's got some cool stuff in it. The Girl in Room 2A is a cool title because to me it sounds kind of like, oh, it could be a college caper, it could be a comedy, it could be romance. Like, no, it's scuzzy. Like it's kind of jolly slasher, criminy, whatever you want to call
Yeah, I think isn't the girl in trouble because she was shoplifting?
it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they sent her to this reform school, which I don't know. It must have been a pretty serious offense because they
Yeah.
don't send you to reform school for shoplifting anymore.
Yeah. And also, like, this is the second Italian movie we've watched where it has a reform school, like Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory.
Yeah,
And it's an excuse. It's an excuse to have women be happy. I mean, you know
totally.
what you're getting into, guys. But I'm excited though. I like this movie, and I'm excited to see some of the ads that you found for it.
Well, it was kind of sold as wasn't this kind of sold as a grindhouse style film in the
Yeah,
United States? Um, I think it's interesting that this even got a release in the United States. After you see it, it's very European looking. There's nothing about this movie that looks all that American. Not
yeah,
that that would mean anything, but it's just sort of not the kind of movie that you would expect to be screened in the United States, and yet here it is. So that's cool to me that this even got a release here. Joseph Brenner, of course,
yeah.
brought this to America.
He also presented Almost Human and Inframan, or two other great Joseph Brenners movies.
Almost Human.
Almost Human, and he produced Eyeball. So, and after Mein Kampf in 1961,
Shockwaves.
Shockwaves, yeah. So this is an esteemed company.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you see this ad and it's also playing with Cry Rape, you're like, yeah, I kind of know what I'm getting into.
Yeah, so that was it's got that school that couldn't scream kind of vibe.
Yeah. A bold look at the bizarre world of abnormal sexual behavior. Sure. I guess. Yeah. I mean, a little bit.
They cut the word sexual out of some of these ads too.
Oh, yeah. A Prison in Hell. Co-feature, Hellcats. You think Kodak was happy? They're like, it's an Eastman color. And like, no, you don't have to tell people that. It's fine. Kodak was like, don't tell anybody. Oh. Why weren't
Now
we
you
allowed to
can
see
see
it
it.
before, Bill?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone said that you couldn't see it, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe women weren't allowed to see it by themselves. It was like, it's a Girl in Room 2A, despite having girl in the title, is not a woman's picture.
Children absolutely weren't allowed to see it. No one under 17 admitted.
No.
And what would you say about the violence in this movie?
It's not the most violent movie I've ever seen,
Because
but
honestly, I don't remember.
it's a little unsettling at times, a few times in it. But it's not like Solange or anything, which is very upsetting violence, and especially in the beginning.
Yeah, so it doesn't go as far as they want you to think it does in the ads, I
Yeah.
guess.
But isn't that what these ads are all about, right, Bill? It's the hyperbole.
It is sadomasochistic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They were into it in this movie. Fetishized sexual whipping and
A
imprisonment.
roughie.
Yeah.
A roughie. Yeah. It's what people wanted.
I would think a
Again.
roughie would have to be a little more shabby than this. This movie has a nice look to it.
Yeah, that's production
Actually.
values. Yeah. It's very European, as you said, though. It's like how it fits in with House of Ripcord, yeah.
I guess that is its nearest relative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the reason that Girl in Room 2A was one made because the other one was made? Or
I don't know. That's a great question.
did they inspire one another?
Probably. They were like, I think Dick Randall was just like, I really like getting these dirty movies out there. And, Carlo Ponti probably saw it and was like, no, I will not bring this to America. I will bring Torso, but I will not.
Ever since Last House on the Left was a big hit, this kind of thing started getting, and once again, maybe there was a little bit of influence in American films to the Italians because they were trying to market this. Like the same people would go to see that went to see Last House on the Left would go to see this according to these ad campaigns.
Yeah.
They came up with.
Or they would definitely go see The House That Vanished.
I hope it's not too soon for you to explain to us how the house vanished, but
I've been thinking about it all week.
Philip Duke claims that it's just that she forgot where it was.
That's a really good explanation. I just think she's dumb. And the title, the dumb girl, doesn't sell tickets. So The Girl Who Knew Absolutely Nothing is the other title that I had for it. The House That Vanishes or Scream and Die are both much better titles.
Yeah, it does have nice furniture, Sean. I have to admit. Girl in Room 2A.
Mm-hmm.
I see that the drink segment is poking out behind the rest of this.
Let's take a look at the drink segment.
It is getting late.
Yeah. Let's drink up.
There we
There's the
go.
cocktail. Yeah.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Is this the girl in apartment 2A?
Yes. And guess what she brought with her?
She's an alcoholic.
She is. She likes the... Is this movie Jalo? Yeah. Anyway, we got J&B. 1.5 ounces of J&B. 6 ounces. Ginger ale. 1/4 ounce. Lime. 4 dashes. Bitters. Pretty simple drink. This movie is kind of like a creamy mixed with a jolly scuzziness. You know how I do. J&B.
I think J&B stands for jolly and boobs, but jolly is spelled with a J.
It is. They didn't know how to spell it. They're like, is it jolly?
Jolly.
Is it Jeff or Giff, or is it jolly or gallo? They didn't know. We're going to put some lime in it. And then finally,
Dash.
4 dashes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you, Bitters. Thank you, Andrew, again, for making me this awesome start. You go to Head Trip Glass on Instagram and get your own. We should make official Ruby.
He also makes smoking apparatuses
Oh,
and jewelry.
For water?
Yeah.
Or whatever product you have?
Just for smoking.
For collecting. Cool. Well, enjoy the movie. I'm going to try this. I've been waiting to try this all week, actually. This is what got me through the week thinking, I've never had ginger ale in a while, so I'm going to try it. J&B is an acquired taste that I have acquired. I have acquired it. There's a lot of people who are going to taste this and say, did you put a Band-Aid in my ginger ale? No, I did not. I put J&B in it. Regardless.
Zuzu.
Pazuzu and enjoy them.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Is this
Zuzu.
Zuzu. Zuzu, y'all.
What a
That's some
delightful
J&B.
looking drink, Sam. I didn't make it.
Thank you. It was, you didn't, yeah, but it was very sophisticated, I think.
Well, because it would have involved me going and buying some J&B.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I can't. I'll drink some if you have some, but I'm not going to bring J&B in my home. Because if I drink that, it's going to burn my insides out.
Yeah. I'll bring drinks to the drive-in, though. Don't worry. I'm coming up with some good ones. I'm thinking I've been wanting to experiment with this, a cotton candy drink for killer clowns, like that has cotton candy in it that you put on the top of it
Ooh.
and then drink it. Yeah, so I'm thinking of something like that.
Do you have a drink for the children yet?
I had one from when we did it. What'd you say, baby? Apple juice. Yeah. Black apple juice. It
Not to
turns your
give
fingers
alcohol
black.
to children. A
No.
corresponding alcoholic drink to go with the movie that we're going to watch, The Children.
I'm gonna have to look. I'm excited though. There will definitely a Killer Clowns drink, and then probably a Star Crash drink. And then yeah, probably the children, and then I don't know, maybe Return of the Living Dead drink. So we'll see.
Cheers, Sam Fibro Fox. I try and highlight the YouTube comments when I notice them because they're not in the same chat as the rest of us on Facebook. So we appreciate everyone for hanging out with us tonight. It's always fun to do this on Saturdays and to watch these kooky movies like Girl in Room 2A and that Mirrors movie that we just watched. I was loving it.
I'm so glad we watched Mirrors together. I think it's more fun
Me
to watch
too.
movies like this together, and Bill and I can just yell at each other during the movie, like, "What is she doing? What the fuck is wrong with her?" There was a lot of that, and that's how you should watch a movie, I think.
I did not understand one thing she did in Mirrors, so
No.
this is going to be high on my list, especially if somebody rescues it. I know we're not supposed to be talking about Mirrors right now, but I wish somebody would rescue it and put it out on Blu-ray because I think it would look stunning. The photography would probably elevate it a little bit because the story is kind of thin. Girl in Room 2A, however, is a pretty nice transfer, I think. Someone put it out on Blu-ray, didn't they?
Yeah, it's in the Vinegar Syndrome Forgotten Jolly box 2. So there's a very nice looking one of it, and I think that's the one that's on Tubi, actually.
Oh, okay. I linked to YouTube, but if you want to watch it on Tubi, you can do that too.
Yeah,
you'll probably get commercials either place if you don't pay for YouTube.
You might get like 7 on Tubi.
Oh, wait a minute though. You don't pay for YouTube, do you?
I do not pay for YouTube.
And you didn't get any commercials during Mirrors because we stayed synced for the whole time.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't. Maybe I think I'll watch the Girl in Room 2A on YouTube. I'm going to load it up on your beautiful Facebook page right now.
I did post the link, by the way. If you're wondering.
I just got tagged on a J&B moment by Chip. I was like, wow. I've had now someone's going to try to kill me.
Yeah, see, now you're associated with J&B.
I think that's perfect, though. I love it. I had 2 bottles of it at the Jalo drive-in thing, and I just kept drinking it. And then later on that night, I was like, why does my stomach hurt so bad? Oh, just because I've been drinking J&B for like 2 straight days. Yeah. What was I thinking? Carol made me self-conscious about my giant head now, so I keep looking at how big my head is in the framing, and I'm like, God, my head is so big.
Oh, that's me contributing to it. I'm the one that's...
I know. It's now everybody... I'm in my own mirrors thing. Now I'm going to put a blanket over to... Oh, no,
wait, we'll change everything.
Oh, what? Why did it get so big now?
Here we go.
There we go.
That better?
I feel a little better, yeah. I'm sure someone else will say something else. I'm like, Sam's beard looks too bushy. I'm like, God, everything's wrong. That's what... Oh, that was back.
Sam.
Yeah, that's what Becca just said.
What?
Becca just said, she's like, your beard's too bushy. So, love is never having to say your beard's too bushy. It's okay, Daryl. I'm not sad. I'm strong. I'm using my cognitive behavioral therapy to get through the pain that you put me through. It's okay. I'll be fine. But anywho.
So we got a little more time to talk about...
Oh, see, he's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, that's so nice. And he's like, your big head was frightening me. See?
It's like those balloons that they use to scare away birds.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
There was like, they put clusters of balloons to scare pigeons away from parks where the pigeons are shitting on everybody, because
Oh,
the balloons look like the eyes of a predator ready to swoop down and
oh
get them,
wow.
so it scares them.
How did they find that out? That the bird finally talked? Bird was like, "Hey, those balloons are terrifying,"
Torture.
and yeah, and they're like, "Well, thanks for telling us." And then the next day he came, there were a whole bunch more balloons, and the bird was like, "I should have never told those humans
Yep.
anything." Yeah,
I was gonna
or was
think
that
that
a pixie?
I was gonna think maybe
Was
they
that
shoved things underneath their fingernails, but birds don't have fingernails.
no? They don't. If they did, that would be crazy though. They have talons though, don't they?
Yeah,
How
but
about the poster for the? This is something I ponder on a lot. The logo for the children has that chicken claw coming out of it. Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a question I've had for a long time.
It has nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
No, nothing at all. It's a great hand-drawn logo, though. Has anyone not seen The Girl in Room 2A? Let us know before we jump into this little shindig and enjoy what's going to happen here. Next week, we got 2 movies coming for you. How to say what they are?
They're dirty.
They're dirty.
Filthy dirty.
Yeah, there are murders. There are ladies. There is seaminess. It's everything you'll think AC Nicholas picked these movies. That's how dirty they are. You'll be like, did he pick these? No, he's rubbed off on us, and it was weird. So yeah, Matt said, "Scene. He was the girl in room 2A. Wow, he's lived it. We'll have him on the show next to talk to us about his horrible experiences in this.
Yeah.
Now it can finally be told.
We'll have questions for you, and I want you to tell us all about that blood spot that just won't go away.
No,
Sorry, spoiler alert.
I really wish we could
I didn't
interview
give
Kitty
anything
Wynn's
away.
character from the last movie, Bill. Wouldn't that be great if we could have her on in character and then interview her about like what is wrong? And she wouldn't answer any of our questions. She would just go, and you'd be like, "We're talking to you."
Yeah. Oh, and Laura, there
Yeah.
are going to be so many boobs next week.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right.
Yep. It's gonna be. It's probably gonna hurt your eyes. That's how many there are gonna be. You're gonna be like, I can't look at any more. Well, too bad. Dan's seen this at least twice, third or fourth time for Daryl. So there's a good mix between folks that have seen it and not seen it. So that's good.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm excited. Oh, like 3 to 5 boobs, Matt said. Yeah. It's not hard bodies, but man, what a pick that would be. I really think we need to do a week where it's just like people are used to horror and we're like Porky's is up next. State Park is up
3.5
next.
boobs. I guess it would depend on the framing of the shot,
Yeah.
Matt,
Yeah.
whether there were 3.5 boobs or not. Or 3.
It depends if we show what that transfer sucked. There were only 4 boobs in it.
Yeah.
No, there were 5. Yeah, it was a little blurry. So yeah.
Yeah, they just messed up the TV transfer.
Yeah. Daryl asked, are we going shirtless for the show next week? No, but I will Daisy Duking my shirt and tying it through and wearing cutoffs. So there's that.
My shirt is Daisy Duked right now. You just can't see it.
You can't see you have a jacket over it.
Yeah. I'm being
That's why he
tasteful.
wears the jacket. Yeah. There's just we are pantsless though. You just can't see that, but we are definitely pantsless.
Don't worry, we're not going to stand up.
No, I have spats on, which is weird. It's a fetish. So, what'd you say? Spanx. Yeah, I have Spanx and spats. Spanx spats on. And that's how I like to dress for my wife on a Saturday night.
You got to keep the relationship fresh, You
do. I do my best. I tell a lot of young guys, you know what? You really should start to like flannel. And if you can fetishize flannel, you're going to have a great marriage. So, and nightgowns. Yeah, and robes. If you think robes are hot, you're going to have a great marriage. Pajamas with characters on them, Care Bear shirts, get into it.
Are you saying that Harold and Mrs. Elrod still had a pretty hot in the bedroom life going in that house?
They lived. Yeah, exactly. We are them. Becca said she's always cooking and I sleep in my chair.
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah.
it.
I think Mrs. Elrod and Mr. Elrod may have lived, their address was Haddonfield, but they really lived in Pound Town. I think that they had a healthy sex life. And
In
I
Pound
think
Town.
when she said, "Do you want some mustard?" that was a code word for something else.
You said that like a Pittsburgher, Pound Town.
Pound Town. You guys want to go down there to Pound Town? Yeah, that'd be nice. Let's do it. Let's red up Pound Town.
I'll meet you down there.
Becca said we should make a shirt of that. Driving Asylum, we're redding up Pound Town. Let's go down to Pound Town with Mrs. Elrod. Down to Pound Town. If you're not from
I
Pittsburgh,
like
none of
it.
that made any sense to you. So
I don't.
if
I
you
think
were,
even if you are from Pittsburgh, it probably didn't make sense.
no, it didn't make any sense. Does Condemnation and Roman 5 talk to each other about their business? That's what they say.
Roman 5. Wow, that's
Roman
a
5.
throwback.
That is a throwback.
Condemnation was there like pretty late, but Roman 5, like that was gone. Like it was still 1980 something when that went out of business, wasn't it?
It was around until the 90s, Roman 5, because
Really?
I went to Art Institute. I went to Art Institute in 90 to 93, and it was still around then.
Well, Roman 5, was that the place where you would put in a quarter and a window would go up and there'd be live nude dancers?
Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
went in that one. I felt like I missed
I went in
something.
the store part of it, but my roommates used to go in it, and I had a roommate. But all of my roommates, for some reason, at Art Institute were under 5'1". I don't know how. Like I was like a giant amongst
Yeah.
them, and I'm only 5'11". And my one's nickname was Ewok because he looked kind of like an Ewok, like literally. And he like loved going there, but he was always afraid because it was a pretty rough street. So I would always have to go with these diminutive perverts to the Roman 5, and like he was like super loud yelling at this group because you would get on the phone and tell her what you want to do. And I remember like I was standing there waiting for him to
What?
come out, and it was like me with like a whole bunch of guys, and like you just hear him yelling. He's like, bend over, and like just yelling all this stuff. And like, man, this guy's really telling this woman what's up. And they thought he was gonna come out and be like a 6'7", 6'8" tough dude, and this little guy, tiny guy, comes strutting out, and I couldn't stop laughing. He's like, "What's so fucking funny?" And I'm like, "Just you, man, just you. You did it."
Oh my god.
Yeah.
See, I totally missed out on the one I really feel like I missed out on was the Climax 2,
Uh-huh.
where they had a drive-through window.
Oh yeah, my friend's uncle owned that.
A stripper drive-through window.
Yeah, his one of the guys I wrestled with, his uncle owned it. So yeah, I remember when they did that because it was like an old bank window or something that they used for that, which is crazy. They got in the news.
Well, there
and
you
all
go,
sorts of
though.
stuff. Yeah.
I bet the dancers liked it better that way too. Honestly,
Oh,
I
they
would.
had to.
If I was working there, I'd be like, I'm happier when you're in your car and you can't get to where I am.
The worst place I ever had to go, because in wrestling, you're in a car with a bunch of people, right? So you have to go where they want to go. You don't have a choice. And I remember we were in Meadville, PA, and there was like literally, it looked like the Sawyer house. Like it looked like a dilapidated mansion. And like that's where it was a strip club. It was in the middle of a cornfield. And I remember sitting there with one of the guys, and he's like, this is a lot like From Dusk Till Dawn. We could be killed at any minute. And I was like, can we get the fuck out of here? Because it was like just frightening as hell. And the whole upstairs of it was like a gym, and you like bought a gym membership, and that allowed you to sleep with any of the dancers. And I'm like, can we please go home?
What?
And like, yeah. And
Oh
they
my
had a
God.
cocktail. They had a cocktail video game of Moon Cresta, that old game. And I just kept playing it because I didn't want to get involved with anybody. Like I didn't want to drink. I wanted to be ready to run out at any time because I was so skeeved out by this place. And I remember the only girl dancing just had on a turtleneck sweater and no pants. And she had thicker glasses than me. And one of the guys wrestling with me was like, I can't wait till she takes off that sweater. And I was like, really? You can't. She was like 56. And she took it off, and he goes, oh, I wish she put that sweater back on. It was really a horrible time.
Oh my
Wrestling is
God.
not as romantic as it seems. Yeah. It's
That is
It's
super
pretty lame.
creepy.
It was super creepy. Yeah, it was horrible. And I
Well,
couldn't
that
wait
should
to get
get the
home.
audience in the mood for the girl in room 2A.
Yeah, it should.
The link is on
Enjoy.
Groovy Doom, and the movie is on Tubi and YouTube. And come back afterwards. We'll have lots to talk about on the third segment. Till then, enjoy the drill. Yeah.